coconut water, you guys. Not sponsored, but do definitely highly recommend this coconut water. It just tastes so good. So gonna be needed for today's episode, you guys, as we continue to discuss Rebecca Minkoff's crisis management tour that she's on. Hello, Brooke. I'm curious to see how she's gonna COS around this. My guess is the victim card. Well, you know how it is, Brooke. The victim card and a whole lot of other things, because today, you guys, we're going to be reacting to this. This is what I'm telling you, that Rebecca Minkoff is on a crisis management ethics handling from hell. Okay, here's Rebecca. Remember yesterday we showed you that other channel that had 14,000 subscribers? Well, here's Rebecca doing another podcast, and this one was done 6 days ago, where Heather, this lovely lady, has 847 subscribers. This episode has been liked 0 times and been viewed 10 times. One of them is my view. Okay, so why is Rebecca the courage to take risks? Rebecca Minkoff's journey through business and motherhood. So, as you guys know, the reunion, the disaster reunion where Rebecca was not going to be returning to the housewives, where it was actually determined that she wasn't going to come back, and she was all of a sudden really going to turn a page. And here she's doing all these podcasts that don't really make a lot of sense in the grand scheme of things, you guys, but we are learning a lot. So let's just take a look and react to some of this, because there's, again, for everything that we advocate about every single day, a lot of valuable information that we need to react to and contextualize.
And I'm sure people see you on the outside in your life. And when we pull back the curtains, it's always perception, right? Perception of the life people think you lead versus the reality. And I wanted to talk to you about all the things you have on your plate, whether it's work or mothering or the projects that you're up to. To kick us off, would you be open to share maybe a few things people don't know about you when it comes to, putting yourself out there in the world and what they perceive versus reality?
So, again, let's give her the opportunity to give people words to change the perception they could have had from having this chaotic Real Housewives experience, you guys, because that's what this is actually giving at this point.
I think that it might appear like I have everything figured out and everything strategically planned. But sometimes I feel like I'm just hurling myself after things, hoping that it's like there's that saying where you're putting the wheels on the bus as it's already in motion.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think we agree here with Rebecca, you guys. I think it's giving both. It's giving that you do manipulate things very, very carefully down to the last detail, aka OSA, leaky, pigeon story that you really put out there for yourself. That was very, very, very meticulous, right, Rebecca? But then there's other things that you're just really actually like flying by the seam of your pants. Like, oh yeah, you know what would be a great idea that no one has ever tried in Scientology? To become a reality TV star, to give America a chance to dig into my public persona, expose my entire life to the public, to an entire Bravo audience, that is going to weigh in. I mean, that's what reality TV was about, Rebecca. So I think it's like giving kind of the both of it.
I feel like a lot of the decisions I'm making are often like that. And I'm like, okay, I just hope the wheels get held on tight.
Yeah.
Whereas people are like, oh, there was probably a strategy and like a plan and a team and there was a masterminding. And a lot of that isn't like that. It's just like,
Oh, Rebecca's pushing back, you guys. This is giving the president's office from Celebrity Center, the president's office from Flag does not want to be dragged in. Damn, Rebecca. Damn. Imagine that. I guess they're not liking the shout outs that we're giving you. Right, guys? The shout outs that Rebecca's getting from us, the fact that she does have an entire team, the fact that there is a lot of masterminding, Rebecca, that you go to that hotel to get advice on how to handle every single aspect of your life. You outsource that to a hotel, the Florida one, that you're probably in because it's giving that you're probably in your Florida home right there. Why are you in Florida? Are you in ethics trouble? Did they call you from Flag? Oh, Rebecca, you created a lot of black PR for Scientology. I think we really need to come. You really need to come see us, and you really need to, like, you know, tell people that there's no mastermind around you, that we are not helping you concoct all your terrible ideas that you displayed on reality TV.
let's try it. Let's take the risk. You know, how bad could it get?
That's a good thing.
How bad could it get if you, Rebecca Minkoff, become a real housewife of New York and you are literally the name, you are literally the brand. You don't own that business anymore. You did sell it, but you know, you're still representing your brand, right? And you haven't represented it in a good way because, again, from you being so open in the helicopter ride, talking about how, oh, this is such a great business opportunity. And it is, Rebecca. And no one would begrudge you the business opportunity. Nobody would begrudge you that. Every single person is doing the housewives because they like it, because they want to be famous, because, you know, there's obviously something that they get out of it. But with you, it was, you thought you were going to go in there, fleece everyone, just show your stuff, be a fab, a fake ass, you know what it is? Finish the last word. But if you're a fab, if you're completely fake, if you are all of a sudden going on a public platform to pitch yourself, but you don't want to be asked questions. I mean, I thought you were going to be the new mouthpiece of OSA. I thought they were going to have you be the new person that, you know, kind of like represented Scientology to the masses and made it sort of like, well, you know, we're not that crazy, but damn, you were, every single time you were asked about the subject, you reacted like the victim of being asked questions. You always found it fault, like they're not asking you enough, in a nice tone, and a nice this and a nice that.
How bad can it get? What's the worst case scenario? So there's always like this courage, like take massive, fast action, learn as you go in the messy. Were you always this type of person? Like, were you that type of child?
I was in certain facets. Like, I remember growing up, my mom was selling items at the San Diego flea market and I wanted to sell with her. So every week I'd like go create like puffy paint sweatshirts and spin art. And I had my little card table at the flea market. I sold nothing, but
What did we tell you guys? Rebecca grew up as a miniature adult, going to the flea market with her mom, Sue Minkoff, who treated Rebecca as a miniature adult and said, you can sell those things. Go and work. I mean, Kids in Scientology do not experience a childhood because they're always being told that they're not a child, that they're a Thetan, that the word child is almost like degrading. It's almost like stop being a child. So that's really exactly Timber June. What type of items was the mom selling there? Because it's giving that she was probably selling the Dianetics book. And don't forget that Rebecca Minkoff's, Sue Minkoff, mom was the one that was doing all the running Dianetics teams. Okay, so Rebecca Minkoff's parents have been always working on how to sanitize the image of Scientology, how to make Scientology look relatable, how to get, athletes to become ensnared in Scientology, how to pitch it as like oh yeah, it's a great movement and wouldn't you want to be part of it? But again, for the people in the back, the policies of L. Ron Hubbard are disgusting. So for anybody that wants to go, nobody knows, everybody knows. Everybody knows. But yeah, probably Rebecca was over there, Timber, selling Dianetics books together with some sweatshirts at a flea market, as a young girl, working, because the Scientology kids are always being treated as adults. And Exhibit
It
A.
was about the creation of it and the push to like do something that I thought could be successful.
Mm-hmm.
So in those areas of my life, I think there was that willingness to take risk. And then on the other side, when I moved to New York and we started pushing.
You were willing to take a risk as a child, Rebecca. I mean, and the thing is here, you guys, this is Rebecca's PR image. Like, she always tells the same story. This thing about how she used to sell things at a Goodwill with her mom, not at a Goodwill, at a flea market with the mom. Every time she gets interviewed, she pops that talking point. Something else you got clocked for, Rebecca, because you did get called out for always, serving talking points, because you never really actually do get vulnerable. You just come to a channel where it's called emotional, what is it? Emotional I can't read the name, you guys. Anyways, you come to the channel saying you're going to be very vulnerable, but I don't know about
the boundaries of what it meant to speak to your customer, talk to her, meet her.
What?
So in those areas of my life, I think there was that willingness to take risk. And then on the other side, when I moved to New York and we started pushing the boundaries of what it meant to speak to your customer,
pushing the boundaries of what speak to your customer. What type of boundary did you push? What type of actual boundary did you push?
Talk to her, meet her, not be better than her, or
not be better than her? Talk to her, meet her, not be better than her. Oh, Rebecca. Thank you, guys. Yeah, she should do some work clearing. Thank you, Brooke. I mean, believe you me, Rebecca is doing work clearing at Flag right now. She's reading the PR series. She's reading Black PR. She's reading Glutz PR. She's reading, and this is an immense project that she's on, because, she's just doing every last possible podcast she can possibly get herself on to generate as many SEO headlines as she can possibly get to. So when her name is then Googled, Rebecca, oh look, The Courage to Take Risk by Rebecca Minkoff. This is all an SEO strategy, crisis managed strategy. Let's push down the Real Housewives of New York's headlines. Let's really get rid of the N theta, you guys. I mean, that's how they see it in Scientology. Let's get rid of the N theta by out-creating it and sanitizing our image.
Or go direct to consumer. As crazy as it sounds, a lot of those things from peers and frankly buyers and editors was like, if you do this, your career's over. And
and see how much of a lie it is, you guys, her whole little pitch. Like, what type of editor told you that talking to your client and find out who they are and not coming across superior than them was gonna be and working on a direct to consumer basis was going to be the end of your career. I mean, you guys, honestly, like, that's what we really need to start understanding, Rebecca, because you know what? It's like, what? You're saying that editors and buyers were telling you that if you listen to your customer and you didn't act like you were superior than them and you sold direct to consumer, that was going to be the end of your career?
We did it anyways, but those risks early on, and even I would say into, into 2014, a lot of the risks we took, I was trepidatious, I was nervous, I was questioning myself. I wouldn't question myself. I'm like, yes, that's the new hit bag. That's the trend of the season. But a lot of the risks we began to take, I questioned myself up until the very moment we did it.
So you guys, Rebecca was really like questioning the risks that you were taking. So honestly, what were those risks that you were taking, Rebecca, in 2014? Really do ask yourself, and why are you so fearless, right? Because that's what you're pitching in your book, to be really, really fearless. Really do check if you should maybe gain some of that fear back so you can learn discernment, because that's what's missing in your life, Rebecca. Discernment is non-existent. You keep going to the hotel, you keep going to your matrix of people that advise you inside of a hotel, because like you said, you are checking in with your mastermind of people that are telling you to do this that you're doing right now.
How do you, that takes a lot of deep self-trust. When you take the risk, when you deeply trust yourself, when you're stepping into uncertainty, do you think that's a relationship that you have with yourself and trust? Or like, I'm curious the pushback you get now after being so successful, and you're like, okay, we're going to take another risk or another risk or another risk.
In Scientology, you're working to become an OT. So everything you just said is completely not relatable for Rebecca, because Rebecca is going to do the OT levels. In the OT levels, she's going to learn how to be cause over matter, energy, space, and time. So even though she's putting this like, oh yeah, let me be really relatable and I really struggle a lot. I mean, they do this as a performance, you guys. They do this in Scientology. They call this get in reality with the people. So whatever they're saying, they're just spitting it back and pretending, oh yeah, you're just like me. You're just like, they're trying to be relatable in order to influence. This is an influencing, sanitizing, image laundering with a complete purpose of managing her image on SEO. She's got an online business. When people check Rebecca Minkoff, guess what's going to be coming up? Guess how much in trouble she is with the people she sold her brand to. If you check Rebecca Minkoff right now, the headlines are not good. She's there, literally like the headlines all about her putting fake pregnancy rumors out. The Bravo audience was like completely didn't get what in the hell she was trying to do. We caught her and clocked her yesterday pitching that, oh, that wasn't a prank, but it wasn't a joke, but it was something that I really did with full knowing to really catch a bad actor that I'd really tried to get all the other housewives to go against her once I caught her saying a complete false rumor that I spread about myself. So that's what we're talking about here, you guys. So just so we
I talk about this in my book. It's in a whole chapter. And I think if we can reframe failure as a learning opportunity and also taking risk like building muscle, I think that you will likely begin to take more risks because it's not, oh, I failed. It's what did I learn? And the more you do it, the easier it gets to take it and then bounce back from it.
So, and again, you guys, here she goes with the failure and, oh, what did I learn? What did you learn from the housewives, Rebecca? Because apparently you didn't learn. It's giving you didn't learn shit. It's giving you didn't learn nothing. If you would have learned, you would have listened to the feedback. If you would have learned, you would have stopped trying to pretend that you're just so forthcoming with everyone. What's everyone so pressed about? They're pressed that you're not transparent. They're pressed that you're not actually discussing what's going on in your life at all. They're pressed that, you are doing weird L. Ron Hubbard, leaky pigeon technology all over them, and no one knew that that's what you were doing. Aaron is pissed that you keep saying, oh, but we both came up with this plan. You and L. Ron Hubbard came up with that plan. So, again, the risks that you're taking are questionable. Very, very questionable.
So for me, I'll still make decisions that are bad.
Mhm.
But at least I'm like, okay, what did I learn from that?
Why are you going to be making decisions that are bad when you have the so-called ethics conditions where it's supposed to teach you all about like making right decisions? Is this the greatest good for the greatest number of dynamics, or is that philosophy not really applied? Didn't you say that that's what Scientology was all for, Rebecca, when you were really confused about something, that you would make the wrong decision? When you really needed help with the way you communicate, you go to them and they really teach you inside of that hotel how to communicate with people? Because what is it that you're talking from every side of your mouth and saying nothing? That's why people call you boring. It's not that you don't open your mouth. It's that you always open your mouth to fill a void and fill an air and talk in circles and come across presentable, because that's what they taught you since you were a child inside a Scientology hotel. How to communicate a message, how to get in reality with people while still completely being fake AF. That's the technology of L. Ron Hubbard. Just so you know, that whole ARC triangle shit is how to be a fake ass person. So update your pitch about what ARC is, Rebecca. That would really do you so much good. Consider this like free deprogramming, you guys. This is literally volunteered work, what we're doing here on YouTube every day, Rebecca. Imagine that we're spending the time to dissect for you how full of shit you are, so that you don't have to go to the hotel and pay them to tell you something that we can tell you. And, maybe if you take the feedback, maybe if you start listening, maybe if you understand what we're talking about, you will actually make different choices that are better for your life, for the life of your kids, for the life of your entire family, for the life of hopefully more Scientology mothers that can go, oh my God, Rebecca said that. Rebecca is now doing this. Oh yeah, let me make sure that I take my child out of the audits. Maybe make sure I take my child out of the courses. Let me make sure I don't expose my child to more ethics handlings, because look, Rebecca said to not do it anymore. Because that's what you need to do. If you really want to rehab your image, you need to do real amends. Just real ones. Actual delivering an effective blow to the enemies of the group you've been pretending to be part of your entire life. Becky Minkoff. That's where you need to go. That's where you need to go. That's what you need to do.
How can I be different, better the next time? And so that's the only way you learn, really, And I think we're all.
And how can you be a different, better what? Liar? Or what? Better what on the Real Housewives? How can you tell half-truths different? How can you take advantage that people don't know anything of what happens in Scientology hotels? Nothing. Like literally glib understanding of what it is. But you act incensed that, why is everyone having a problem with me? Because they can smell your withhold, Rebecca. They can smell your shady AF behavior with you just trying to use everyone else to make you money selling your bags, make you money selling your brand, position you in a better place in the cult. When Rebecca got this job offer, you guys, about being a Real Housewives, the cult was very happy. Oh my God, you're getting an influential position. Oh, that's great. That's wonderful. Well, you know what? None of them knew what reality TV was. None of them knew what it meant. None of it knew anything. Nothing. Like in Scientology, they couldn't be more clueless. And this is why this is flapping. This is why this is becoming the headache that it is becoming for them.
We're all so scared. We want to be like bubble wrapped, but life isn't like that at all. So
where do you see, I was gonna say, where do you see women getting in their way? Where do you see them getting stuck when they have the dream, when they have the desire?
So I see it in women in corporate America who want more freedom to also be mothers. And they don't want to take the risk of saying, I'm going to demand that when I return from mat leave, these are my pumping times. Or I'm going to demand that I get to go for my kids' activity.
Isn't it great, you guys, that Rebecca really wants to go on a whole demand these things? Imagine, Rebecca, how are women treated at the hotel that you go, say, is your place where you practice a religion? Women that cannot even decide if they can have a child. In what world are you advocating for pumping times? But yet what? The ones at your hotel don't even get a chance to even decide for themselves if they ever wanted to have a child, including but not limited to underage girls that were signed up to the billion-year contract, Rebecca. But imagine that you want to sit here and talk about how you care about women's pumping times, and really you have to demand that when you go back to your work. Make that make sense. Make that make sense. You're perfectly aware. You're perfectly aware of how little women are allowed to have any decisions about their bodies in Scientology. That's all public available information for you, Becky Minkoff. That's all information that you would have been exposed to when you were a staff member at Celebrity Center, New York. So before you want to go, oh, I had no idea what happened at staff. Really? You really want to claim you had no idea, Becky? What happened when you were at staff at Celebrity Center, New York? What happened there exactly? What was going on when you were there at Celebrity Center? Who did you recruit into Celebrity Center in New York? How much were you paid? Were you paid commissions for that? Are you an FSM? Be great to get, who are your selectees? Who are you getting 10% commissions from? From the Female Power Collective, whatever it is that you said you built.
Mm-hmm. I see it in women who want to start their own companies, but are like, but what if it fails? What if it doesn't work? And I'm always like, unless it's involving you, essentially selling the home and making yourself homeless, don't ever do that. But like,
unless what, Becky? Unless you are, gonna double mortgage your home to do an OT package. Not great, you guys, that she, again, pretends to be like, oh, don't do this and don't do that. And meanwhile, that's all they do inside of the Scientology hotels and commercial buildings. Rebecca Minkoff, how many people get their mortgage and remortgage it and get a loan and just sell it and sell it and sell it, and it'll all come back to you because Owen Harvard's technology, you have no idea how magical and special is going to be. That's what we're talking about.
I always, again, when we first started the podcast, I look at like, what's the worst case scenario? Can you accept that? And if you can, and you're willing to have that happen to you, go for it.
Yeah.
I mean, again, you guys, like, you're putting yourself in a position to advise people, and you're saying to people, do like I did. And your advice is that in order to make a decision to weigh in the worst case scenario, and if you're willing for that to happen, then go for it. How about you learn discernment? How about you learn, being actually analytical, Rebecca, not just as an analytical mind like the convicted felon told you, but actually, taking the time to mature as a grown woman executive that you're supposed to be, and really put all the information and analyze the data in front of you. Really learn, what is that word, you guys? Due diligence. Or, this one for short, DY FR, do your fucking research, right? Because if you do your fucking research, maybe you don't just have to go, well, what's the worst thing that can happen? I guess I'll just suck it up if it happens. Maybe you can start actually learning that that type of advice is actually really fucked up when you really think about it. It's like, what? You're really supposed to be making decisions, and oh my God, I mean, I guess the worst thing that can happen is this, then let me be okay with it. I mean, maybe it won't happen. I mean, I don't know. This is giving craziness.
But I think that we just get in our own way. We overthink it. It has to be perfect.
Mhm.
And I've just kind of been like, ugh, enough with the perfection. Just like try it, go for it.
Enough with the perfection, says Rebecca. Just try it, go for it, throw anything that can stick at a literal wall. I mean, no, we're pushing back. We're pushing back on that horrible advice. Rebecca, maybe don't just, maybe sit back, maybe figure out who you are outside of the cult identity that has been programmed into you. You know, that would be actually great advice. Like, make sure that you're not stuck in the identity that is completely fake and false that's been programmed into you by a cult. Because that would be like reverse deprogramming. And you really do need the deprogramming, Rebecca. You're literally here showing the entire world that you are programmed by Scientology, that it has really worked on you. And you know what? We are literally advocating for free Rebecca. Literally free Becky Minkoff. Free her. Free her from her own jail. Free her from her own opinions that whatever the convicted felon told her was a great idea.
I love the ugh. It's like, it's so annoying, right? You know, when you're in it, what's your relationship with fear and guilt and shame? How does that show up for you now? And how do you kind of manage that?
Good question. What is your relationship with this, you guys? And I mean, again, it's like, it's so interesting to me that, again, that Rebecca's doing this sanitizing podcast, which, I mean, if you literally see what the podcast is supposed to be about, it's supposed to be about mental health. Okay. So this woman obviously didn't do a shred of her own research. This Heather girl, you know, I do feel bad because I feel like she really wants to do something, you guys, and she always gets like the lowest views. This is episode 1194. And if you go through her page and nothing gets views, everything is like 10 views, 5 views, 4 views, 20 views. Like, and she's done so many interviews. Like, I don't know. It's like YouTube like shadow banning her because, yeah. Anyways, here she is, you know, talking about her emotions. And Rebecca goes, why would I care about those emotions? Those are down tone emotions. L. Ron Hubbard said that those tones is something I can just force myself up tone. And if I'm just down tone, it's a negative thing. So Rebecca doesn't actually have a relationship with those tones, even though she's going to now pretend that she does. Because again, we told you they have to pretend that, oh yeah, we're just like you. Oh yeah, I have a relationship with that. You have a relationship with the tone scale, Rebecca. You have a relationship with the tone scale. That's all you're allowed to interpret. Because again, not a theology. You're being told that that's what the tones are. So before you go, oh, I had my own independent thought in Scientology. Oh, yeah, that's a good joke. That's a good prank, Rebecca. We'll give you that. If you really wanted to cite that, that would be a good prank to really make.
Fear shows up for me in 2 ways. One is very irrational, like zombies, sharks in lakes, like things that actually aren't real. I have deep.
So for all of you who are wondering if Dianetics, the volcano book, handles your irrational fears, Rebecca's OT. Rebecca's an OT, and she still has irrational fears of shark coming in a lake. Like, Rebecca, sharks cannot be alive in a lake. It's called salt water. is called Sharks Cannot Breathe and They Would Die If They Were in a Lake. So yeah, that's like very delusional to think that you really should be scared of sharks in lakes. In lakes, you guys. I mean, unless someone can be like, where are the lake sharks? I've never heard. I mean, maybe I'm the one that needs to be told, but
fears of. I think fear with, as a mother, right, your children being okay and being safe. And
fear as a mother of your child being okay and being safe. Well, check if they're safe when they get audited, Rebecca. Write this on your notes. I must check if my kids are safe when they're getting audits. I must check if my kids are safe when they're being put on disgusting grooming courses. I must check if my kids are safe when they're being told that they need an ethics handling to really handle something. You need to check the safety of your kids right there in those 3 scenarios that I just called you out for. And if you want to say that they're safe in those 3 scenarios, Rebecca, by all means, type it up. Tell your publicist to type up how kids are safe in audits, ethics handlings, and discussing grooming courses. Make your PR team that's literally getting you all these interviews with people to, book that up and put that together, because that would be great to start finding out how that works.
then it shows up not really as fear in some of the risks that I take, but I think then to me, it's not about fear in work. It's about shame. Like, what if I did something that really embarrassed me or hurt my reputation? Then I would feel shameful or embarrassed.
Oh, well, I think you just hurt your reputation and you should just be feeling a lot of shame because you embarrassed yourself by taking on a role at a reality show that you shouldn't have ever taken, that you let your ego guide you in the wrong direction. You let your book, your fearless, you let your own bad advice, Rebecca. That's what put you in the situation you're in. So, remember how you said, oh, it's all about learning? Well, learn not to take your bad advice. Start with that part of the learning process. Go, oh, when I advise myself to, pretend that as long as I outflow, I will get inflow. That's a thing in the Scientology hotels, you guys. Just so you know, the Scientology people outflow to inflow. So Rebecca goes, I need more money. I need to go on the housewives. I need to outflow. If people see me on a screen, that's going to become inflow for my money and my bank account. That was the calculation.
And the guilt only comes in when I'm working too much and I'm missing out on beautiful parts of my kids' lives, or I'm not working and I'm with them, but I'm somewhere else.
Yeah.
You have 4 kids, Rebecca. 4 of them.
Mentally. And I feel like in the last 2 years, I was really good at getting out of that. I was fully present and in the moment. And the last 6 months, I've noticed I'm thinking about work while I'm with the kids, or I'm.
See, and this is another problem, Rebecca. You're thinking about work. Why are you at a present time? Aren't you supposed to be an OT, Rebecca? In what world are you OT? And literally coming on these podcasts to gluts PR Scientologists that look up to you and go, oh, I want to be just like Rebecca. Well, weren't you supposed to be able to stay in present time at all times after your objectives? That's at the very low part of the bridge, Rebecca. So imagine you coming here and pitching something that, which one is it? Are you an objectives completion that can stay in present time at all times? Because I went Harvard and you just figured it out like that. Or are you really guilty of the time that you're spending and you're not being present with your kids? Because it's sounding like a Kakamimi story to me. It's sounding like you're trying to, relate to people, to put yourself as like, this is what your crisis PR team must have told you. Oh, look real relatable. Look like you really don't have it together. Like just blab about how, how like when they ask you that question, when they're interviewing you for a job and they're like, is there any problems that you have? And people go, oh yeah, I'm just so over responsible. I just go above and beyond all the time. I just I can't stop myself that's this. Rebecca going like, I'm just so can't even stay present with my kids. Well, you told your auditors at the cult that you can. That's why they let you graduate from your objectives, Rebecca. But you're supposed to be an OT woman. You paid for your OTs. So where is those powers? When you're here complaining that you can't even stay present with your kids. But Scientology is really helpful. So how is it helpful if it's not even like actually giving you what it says in the book it is? And what you say really did work for you.
I'm distracted about work or whatever's happening, and I'm trying to reset that come January.
And how do you reset that? Like, what is there a process that you go through mentally, or yeah?
I think for me at this
See, shout out to Heather because she was onto something, right? Well, how do you reset that? Do you have a process, Rebecca? Do you have an audited process when you're supposed to reset yourself if you're out of present time? That was your way to answer honestly. Then you could have gone, oh yeah, at the hotel that I belong to, I pay to be told to look at a wall, to walk over to a wall, to touch a wall ad nauseum. And I just do that for 80 hours, 100 hours. And then all of a sudden I'm like, you know what? I think I'm here. I think I'm in present time. And then can we stop this going to the wall and touching it? Because I think I'm in present time. That was your process. But let's see what Kakamimi story you say.
This particular time, this project that I'm doing will be done in January.
Mhm.
And I've decided that whether that project is going to make me millions of dollars or more famous or more whatever, it's actually not worth me not being present with my children.
This project that ended in January that was supposed to make you multi-millions. I mean, you just tell on yourself. You just cannot help yourself, Rebecca. So it wasn't just that you were going to Bravo to see if you could just see if, some of you were going to see if you became a what was it? What was your word exactly? I don't want to put a word in your mouth. Let's listen to you again.
Whether that project is going to make me millions of dollars or more famous or more whatever.
Millions of dollars or more famous or more whatever. Well, you're infamous thanks to the project. I don't know if you're a multi-millionaire from the project, but hold on. You're in my live. You're in my live. I literally just answered it on my live. Okay, bye. Just wanted to make sure, you guys, since we did see what LAPD was all about doing. Anyways, we digress, Rebecca. You're doing great. You're doing wonderful. You're amazing. You're on a mission to save our world.
It's actually not worth me not being present with my children.
So when you thought that the Real Housewives was going to make you a millionaire, when you thought that the Housewives was going to make you more famous, then you were all about it, right? Then you're like, Andy, send me the contract. Let me volunteer to be a housewife of New York, Andy. I mean, who knows? I might become a multi-millionaire. Who knows? It's going to cost you time with your kids. Well, you know what? It's worth it until it ain't. That's what it's giving, Becky.
And I've thought long and hard about it. And I just want to be there. And I want to be blissfully pushing them on the swing or giving them a bath. And that to me is worth far more than this mental energy that's taking up a lot of my mind right now.
Mental energy, you guys. The mental energy Becky can't handle. The mental energy that this is taking out of her. The mental energy that Becky is referring to is the ethics handlings, the audits, the sec checks, the donations, the amends projects that she has to be doing inside of the Scientology hotel. Because the project flopped, because she went from Scientology darling at the president's office. Oh, here comes Becky. Let's roll out the red carpet. Let's give her a special parking spot at Celebrity Center so she feels real important. And then all of a sudden now, Becky who? Oh, Becky Minkoff. Oh, yeah. She's in ethics. She's just full of Glutz PR. She just didn't handle the situation.
And I think you wouldn't tell me if I'm wrong, but it's like, if we don't take the risk or we don't take the action and try it, you don't receive the symptom. Like, you never know, right? So then once you're kind of like, okay, the mental energy is draining me, or I can tell when I'm with the kids, I'm over here. That's where we decide to course correct. It might take some months to do so, but that's where you get the privilege of listening to yourself, taking the action that's required.
Yeah. And I think, something I said yes to a while ago, I said to my husband, I won't know, I can predict our lives if I do this, or if I don't do this, I can predict our life. If I do this, I can't. So I have to do it. And, I'm learning from it every day. And so I think it's just like, at the end of it, you can reflect and say, was that a good decision or a bad one? And if it's bad, what did I learn? If it's good, how do I strengthen that?
From this conversation,
Oh my God, you guys. Not Becky literally giving Scientology. Do you realize that is exact Scientology? If it's bad, what can I learn from it? And that's her little spin, because in Scientology, they don't really tell you what can you really learn from it. Okay, so that's not a thing. Scientology, they say bypass habits and normal routines. Handle the danger and handle the danger in any situation in it. Like, they just literally not operate like this. But here's Becky Minkoff saying that you really should look at your successful actions and reinforcing them. And for her, going back to your bad advice, Rebecca, do learn here. Put this on your notes. Your successful action to sell a lot of bags before was payola and product placement on weeklies. And then when that didn't work anymore, then you really tanked your business. And then you went and got invited to this Real Housewife stuff. And you went, oh, you know what? I'm going to repeat that successful action. I'm going to go sell a lot of bags at the Real Housewives. Well, that successful action didn't work, did it? Because that's not how life works. Your cult programming is betraying you, Rebecca. Like, literally, go get deprogrammed.
I'm hearing you say, I take quick action, I pivot quickly as needed. Yeah.
Yes.
You have 4 children?
4 children, yeah.
What has becoming a mother taught you about leadership?
I can't say that being a mother has taught me about leadership, other than if you want to lead and you want to be a mom, you have to delegate.
Again, this is another Scientology concept, you guys. Delegate. If you want to be a leader, delegate. L. Ron Hubbard said, responsibility of leaders will only not succeed if they are afraid to delegate. So here's Rebecca pitching what the convicted felon said.
You have to make your bench deep at work in terms of support and help. And you have to foster an environment, at least from what I know, where everyone is a little entrepreneur, even if they're working for you. And how do you get them to manage their own work, not micromanage them, make mistakes because they're going to, have them come out of it. But I think there's...
How you're not going to micromanage them, Rebecca? BS. We call BS. What are you supposed to do, Rebecca, if any of your people that work for you doesn't do their job? Does it mean that you have to bypass them? Remember what L. Ron Hubbard said, if people are not doing their job, you're supposed to, as the executive, bypass them, go and do the job yourself. That's literally textbook micromanagement from hell. So even though you're putting yourself here as like, oh, you're the greatest boss to ever work for, because you're really going to let everyone be their own entrepreneur, whatever that means, if they're working for you. But apparently you can just throw whatever it is at the wall. And apparently there is not enough critical thinking skills to push back on the fact that whatever it is that's coming out of your mouth ain't making any sense, girl. That's the easiest way to put it.
There's no easy solution for wanting to be a very present mother and being, you know, a leader that's the greatest all the time. You have to surround yourself with great people. Otherwise you'll never be able to do it.
Yeah. I always say parenting is personal growth on steroids. I'm raising 3 boys, and they're constantly showing me how I can become a better human. Like whether I'm like, okay, I need to up my emotional regulation skills. I need to, you know, like be a little more disciplined with my routine. And I've noticed how like managing a team is very similar to parenting in the sense that sometimes people are reacting in a way that, you know, a child has reacted. And I'm like, oh, I've been here before. So it's like, it's managing people. It's not managing people, leading people and helping them kind of.
I mean, I don't have kids, but I don't know in what world you really can make the case that managing grown adults is the same thing as raising kids. I'm sorry, but
Who they are, guiding them.
Yeah, I definitely had 2 employees in my office last week. One that reports to me and one that's her peer, and they couldn't get along, and it was very mean girlish. And I felt like I was talking to my children. I was like, I can't believe we're actually arguing about this. Like, this is ridiculous. I didn't say that. I was thinking that, but
so here's Becky telling on herself, calling herself out for being fake. So she's offering to resolve the problem between 2 of her employees, but she thinks that they're just being childish and mean girl about it. And she doesn't see what in the hell.
I was talking to them as if they were my children, because that was how childish the disagreement was. And so I think you're right. I think it is tapping into that.
So there's something, you keep going after your like projects, ambition, like that part of you that I'm not going to say wants more, but just wants to create. What do you think that is? And do you see a lot of people who kind of abandon that portion of them to be like, I need to be 100% here with my children? I'm curious your relationship to that. I don't know if you call it ambition or the creative inside of you. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do. I every time I travel for work, and I get excited, it's that mix of guilt and excitement. And I'm like, why am I excited? Oh, because I still love what I do. Yeah. And I still have goals that I want to achieve with what I'm doing and even beyond what I'm doing. And it's almost like the activity itself gives me energy and it gives me excitement. And the achieving of those goals gives me happiness. Mm-hmm. And I've taken it on. It's like, I could not be at home full time. That is, I think, a harder job than anything. And I think that that's not my nature. It's not who I've been since I was a kid at the flea market trying to sell my puffy pink sweatshirts. Mm-hmm. So I have to not admit, but I have to say I love to work and I love my kids. In a perfect work day, maybe it would be like half and half. So I do think in the future, I want to figure out where I can give them more and work a little less, but I just don't think I'm there yet.
I mean, speaks for itself. Speaks for itself. Like you said at the Real Housewives, Rebecca, no comment. You sink yourself. Like, I don't even have to say anything.
I love that. I don't think I'm there yet. I remember when I started my business and I wrote my book, I had stage 4 cancer in 2013, and aspects of my life, I was like, if I don't feed this part of myself, how is that going to take away from other people? And it's so weird that we're always like, it's either this or that. Like, it can't just be a little sprinkle here, a little sprinkle here. Now we're not worthy of being fed. And I know when we get busy and life gets busy and our plates get full, we're doing and we're not being as much as we quote unquote should or want to or desire. But I'm always digging into this, like, I feel guilty. And it's going to be there. But what, have you ever looked or explored like what guilt actually is when you're like, I feel guilty because when I'm with the kids, I want to be here, but then I want to be over here. Have you ever like thought about that deeper? I'm curious.
She studied all about guilt, and guilt is very low on the tone scale. Again, that's how Rebecca views herself. They don't view themselves as humans, you guys. They don't view themselves as, they're thetans that have access to a tone scale. Their emotions are not real. They're just a tone scale. They're just a number. That's it. Like, what else? Like guilt, shame, sympathy, that's just a number. So they're giving her a chance to, again, look relatable, look like, oh yeah, you just think about, you know, guilt and shame and all of this as any normal human would, right? No, she goes and gets that processed and taken care of at the hotel that she goes and gets her services. That's what it's called. They go get serviced.
Curious.
I guess I've thought about, like, the guilt is that I wasn't there on a consistent enough level. When I say consistent, every night, for the just normal, everyday, mundane things. I've always made sure that I'm there for all the big deals.
Big deals. Spoken like a true Scientology mother right there. You're not there for the small things. You just have the help do that. Right? The help. Like the babysitters do the small things, but you're just there for the big things, for the big. Otherwise, don't bother me. Right?
And then sometimes it's not rational because next week I have to go to town for 3 nights, and I'm consistent enough level, when I say consistent, every night, for the just normal, everyday, mundane things. I've always made sure that I'm there for all the big deals. For
the big deals, Rebecca cannot turn on a big deal. That's what she's all about. The deals. What's in it for you? What's in it for you? Oh, I'm going to look really great because my kid has a rehearsal at school. I'll show up for that. But the other stuff, the mundane stuff, the small stuff, nah, don't put that on Rebecca's lines. She doesn't need that. That's not what an executive wants on their lines, their children's lives. That's how Scientology parents view their kids. They're extensions, they're commodities, they're part of a thing that they're using to camouflage their existence, pretending they're, just like any old family, but they're like more like the Addams family from hell.
And sometimes it's not rational because next week I have to go to town for 3 nights, and I feel extraordinarily guilty, and I was going to change my flights to leave later and come home earlier and do that whole thing that I'm always doing. And I was like, fuck it. I'm going to just take the 3 full days. Yeah. And what am I missing? I'm missing them in school, and I'm missing 3 nights of dinner and bath time. And I just have to just be like, it's okay. They're going to survive. But sometimes the guilt feels like you're damaging them. I think that's what it is. It's like, I'm damaging them.
I can guarantee you're damaging them when you send them to audits. You're damaging them when you send them to do the disgusting grooming courses. And you're damaging them when you tell them that there are out ethics, that there's an ethics technology that you're going to teach your kids. You're damaging them then. So I don't know about you leaving them for 3 days. Who knows how much time you really are spending with them? I mean, again, you told us a million times that you were running $100 million company. I don't know how much time that left you for 4 kids.
Here, I'll sum it up for you. My son, for a Mother's Day project last year, it was like, my mom likes chocolate. Her favorite thing to do is work. And I was gutted. I was like, my favorite thing is you.
Imagine your son told you the facts, and the facts always seem to gut you, Rebecca. The facts seem to gut you. Even your own kids clock your tea better than any of the RHONY women did. Your kid called you out on Mother's Day. My mom likes to work. She's just there for the big deals. So if I don't have a big deal going on, I become developed traffic. That's how the Scientology kids get treated. You're a developed traffic. You're a stop in a block. I mean, great, Rebecca. Great, wonderful, amazing, right success stories about this.
And I just felt bad that stuck in his head is my favorite thing. Like, I didn't.
You felt bad that reality, a fact that a child with his innocence told you on Mother's Day, like,
want him to feel that way, and that to me is guilt.
You didn't want him to feel that way. Well, you could have chosen different, Rebecca. You could choose your kids, like you say about talking about, like, oh, I can't wait to really push them on the swing. But then you did take the Housewives, franchise, and that took you away from your kids. Let's face it, you're, jet setting it around. I mean, you say you have 3 houses. So what type of stability are those kids really growing under?
Can I give you a different reflection of that?
Yeah.
What if he was like, my mother's favorite thing is me, and he grows up with this, like, I am my mother's everything.
Yeah.
and that I'm not a part of her or I'm added to that. But also, what if she loves to work is like, I get to observe her and in her fullest creative potential.
It's giving thitty weedy. Stop being thitty weedy. You don't understand who your guest is. You don't understand what her beliefs are. You don't understand how she treats her kids. You're just allowing her to launder her image, to speak in circles because you can't clock any of the. She's good at it. Credit when credit is due, you guys. Rebecca is very good at trying to make herself look relatable. Remember, Rebecca was never under the billion-year contract. Rebecca has spent her entire life being a New Yorker. So be great for you and your publicist to figure out why you're still in Scientology if you're a New Yorker, if you're not stuck at a hotel, Rebecca, if you've had all the privilege, all the access, all the information, all the outside people to have influenced you, but yet you always choose to do the wrong thing, to be with the wrong people. So again, it's because you're getting something out of it. So before anybody wants to go, oh, Rebecca is such a victim, she's been getting stuff out of it. Don't you worry about it.
Yes. And I'm not saying his answer should have been me, but maybe it's like, play with the family. I don't know
what you're saying.
I know.
It's like women standing for women to be like, oh, this guilt. It's like a virus.
I think it's hardwired into us. I think for 10,000 years, our job was to nurture and care for the family. And we think that in 70 years of truly going into the workforce, that it's just going to go away. Like that took 10,000 years of making us nurture, give, provide, support. Like we're idiots if we think it's just going to be solved soon.
Oh, you guys, sometimes I just literally cannot. According to Rebecca Minkoff, women have for 10,000 years, again, Rebecca, in what world do you think that women for just 10,000 years have been looking after kids? If you have no idea how nature works, since the inception of Mother Nature, Rebecca, mothers, aka organisms that create offspring, natural instincts are to look after your little tiny defenseless that if you don't look after them, they just wither and die away. So 70 years that women have been in the workforce, what in the literal hell are you talking about? And what's really going to change? And why would a woman change if she has kids? Why would a woman have to change to what? To have kids and then not nurture them? Because she's like, oh, that's just what we used to do 10,000 years ago. And I don't need to be like that anymore because who gives an F?
I've had to redefine guilt for me as like love. I'm like, oh, I'm experiencing love. I feel it in my body. Yeah. And my oldest son, who's almost 20, is working from home now. And I can hear him. He's in a sales position. I can hear him in his room. I've had to.
Guilt is not love. Guilt is not love. It's just literally not. So for all of you people that want to change the tone scale, change this, don't just garbage up bullshit advice saying bullshit things. Guilt is not love. If you're feeling guilty, check why you're feeling guilty and then do something about what in the hell you're feeling guilty about. It's called have a conscience. It's called, read the room, read the signals, read the tea leaves, like get the feedback, like have a conscience. It's not that bad to have a conscience. Highly recommend it.
Wear noise canceling headphones. I have a visceral reaction when I'm like, oh, I'm like, he's doing great. But I literally can feel it in my body of like, I don't want you to fail. I don't want you to feel discomfort.
And when I come in with the chicken soup and the rah-rah.
It's just such a huge part of who we are. But I think that's such a gift too. It can be a strength when.
With the chicken soup and the rah-rah. See, that shows how much contempt you have for being a mother, Rebecca. The rah-rah. You mean the love that would not be not beneficial for a child to receive, since that's like very important in good child development. But you didn't receive any love when you were growing up, Rebecca. You were being pawned off to a fucking flea market to really sell t-shirts and sweatshirts and whatever in the hell you said you were doing with your mother, Minkoff.
But not when it's in the, when we're in the shadow.
Yeah, for sure.
So Rebecca, what makes you feel alive? When you feel the strongest, most embodied of yourself?
I think when I take on something and I win, or when I know that I've worked really, truly hard at something for a long time, we pull it off, and then I get to relax. Mm-hmm. We took a vacation 2 weeks ago before it was abruptly cut short. For 2 whole days, I was just like, oh, the last 6 months have taken everything from me. And I'm in the ocean and I'm like, yes.
Abruptly cut short. Her vacation was abruptly cut short, you guys. Why do you think that her vacation could have been abruptly cut short? Could very well be in that she got called in to flag. Rebecca, we need to see you. We need to talk to you. You need to cut your vacation short. You don't get to tell flag that you're not coming. When Rebecca's getting a call from those hotels, she shows up. That means that she's vacationing. They don't give an F. You just flapped. Tom Cruise's name came up. You're going to be doing amends. You're going to be getting an ethics cycle. You're going to be getting interrogated. We are going to be looking at what in the hell you're doing.
And then shit hit the fan, but that's normal.
Shit hit the fan. See, you guys, here she is telling you. Okay, let's listen to it again.
Know that I've worked really, truly hard at something for a long time. We pull it off, and then I get to relax. Mm-hmm. We took a vacation 2 weeks ago before it was abruptly cut short. For 2 whole days, I was just like, oh, the last 6 months have taken everything from me. And I'm in the ocean and I'm like, yes, and then shit hit the fan, but that's normal.
When you're saying it took everything from me, is it like
shit hit the fan? Scientology code word for I'm in a lot of ethics trouble. Scientology code word for I have literally landed myself as an ethics particle.
Like you challenging yourself to push yourself, or is that the aliveness of I did it, I climbed a mountain?
Yeah. It's I climbed a mountain. I did something really hard. I'm still alive. I did things that made me very uncomfortable. I did things that, for me, pushed boundaries, inserted myself into things and places that just weren't my normal habitat. And here I am.
Rebecca was out of her habitat, you guys. Because the best habitat for Rebecca is to have a bunch of yes girls around her. That's how she likes it. That's the boundaries that she's saying she pushed. Oh, I went to a place where I thought I was going to use them, and surprise, reverse Uno, bitch. You're the one that's getting literally exposed. Reverse Uno.
And I did it.
You did it. How do you want your children to remember you?
I would like them to remember me as someone they had a lot of fun with, as someone that was unconventional. And when I say that, I have a 13, 7, 10, and 2, and we walk around naked. If they have a question about sex, I'm very open.
What in the literal living hell, Rebecca? You just landed yourself in ethics even more. Imagine you went to this podcast with Heather, a podcast that has 10 views, a podcast that has 0 likes, a podcast that was done February 5, 2025, released then. So the question, how do you want to be remembered as a mom, is for what? That your kids were walking around naked around you? When I tell you Scientology parents have no boundaries between them and the kids, I am not kidding. And here's Rebecca corroborating. Let's listen.
Someone that was unconventional. And when I say that, still alive. I did things that made me very uncomfortable. I did things that, for me, pushed boundaries, inserted myself into things and places that just more my normal habitat. And here I am, and I did it.
You did it. How do you want your children to remember you?
Listen.
I would like them to remember me as
Yeah.
someone they had a lot of fun with, as someone that was unconventional. And when I say that, you know, I have a 13, 7, 10, and 2, and we walk around naked. If they have a question about sex, I'm very open.
What did she say? Was it 13, 7, and what? I think she said she's got a 13, a 7, and a 2. I mean, ten.
I have a 13, 7, 10, and 2.
13, 7, 10, and 2. So with your 13-year-old, with your 7-year-old, with your 10-year-old, with your 2-year-old, you want to be remembered as unconventional because you're walking around naked. And being very open about every sexual question that they might have. The 7-year-old, the 10-year-old, and the 2-year-old have a lot of sexual questions, Rebecca. What in the literal living hell? Do you see, guys? Do you see? Do you see why the fuck we come to these lives and we say what in the F we say on a daily MF basis? Here's the ages for those that didn't get out on their notes. 13, 7, 10, and 2. And what does she say Rebecca does? She walks around naked, purporting to be very unconventional. Well, double check on your unconventionalness, Becky. Because kids are not just a body.
I would like them to remember me as someone they had a lot of fun with, as someone that was unconventional. And when I say that, you know, I have a 13, 7, 10, and 2, and we walk around naked. If they have a question about sex, I'm very open. If they want to take a risk, I'm like, yeah, go for it, you know.
Here's corroboration. Let me just show you all something that I'm going to have to show you now, but trigger warning, you do not want to see this if you cannot really scrub something off your head after you see it. Okay, so trigger warning, do not look at this if you cannot. This is extremely graphic. This is extremely disgusting, but this is corroboration of the Scientology parents all acting a fool. So here it is. Elena Cardone herself.
I'm out here in the shower portion. Oh, cover yourself up, Papa.
Yes, dog.
While these two, I can't show Sabrina, but Sabrina, while they shower, Sabrina, poke behind it. Poke your head. Poke your head.
Poke your head out.
Poke your head. Oh, there you are. There you are. Look, 2 showers. They each have their own little shower. This is living, huh, Boo? Oh, that's nice.
They call that living. They call that living. So they call that, yeah, exactly, Kelly. Ew. They call that living. I mean, there is no common sense. There is no common sense boundaries. There's no common sense between adults and kids. The kids are being commoditized. They're being treated in horrific ways. And in what world is this getting corroborated? Imagine being asked as a mother, how would you like to be remembered when you're no longer here? and you really go, I would like my 13-year-old, my 7-year-old, my 10-year-old, and my 2-year-old to think of me as an unconventional mother who really walked around naked, answering every sexual question they had. Who thinks this is normal? That the Scientology parents are literally doing this to their kids? Who wants to defend it? Who wants to defend it? Because again, it's like, we've told you guys all our we've given you the receipts now, video recorded receipts, corroboration from multiple sources. Here's Rebecca Minkoff saying this is what she wants to be remembered for as a mother.
I would like them to remember me as someone they had a lot of fun with, as someone that was unconventional. And when I say that, you know, I have a 13, 7, 10, and 2, and we walk around naked. If they have a question about sex, I'm very open.
No boundaries, no common sense. No common sense.
If they want to take a risk, I'm like, yeah, go for it. You know, like I would watch my friends like hover over their 2-year-olds when they're learning how to walk, or like everywhere they go, they're helicopter parenting. And I would be sitting there being like, no, they need to fall. They need to experience that so they know. Mm-hmm. So I've always tried.
Oh yeah, fall. Helicopter parent. You wouldn't want to be a helicopter parent, Rebecca. Feels like it's giving you've been a deadbeat mother. And imagine you're not in the Sea Org. Imagine you're a deadbeat mother because you're out there chasing clout, because you're out there chasing money for yourself, because that's all you think you are. And yet you have kids. And you're just like, well, fall. Let them learn by falling. That's how we were treated, you guys. I mean, again, Rebecca's not lying. This is the behavior. This is how the parents see you. Fall. Learn on your own. Figure it out. We don't need to help you. We don't need to do anything for you. You can figure it out. You are Thetan. You're in the same term as the rest of us.
To be the kind of parent that's relaxed and like thing. And I would be sitting there being like, no, they need to fall. They need to experience that so they know. Mm-hmm. Go for it. You know, like I would watch my friends like hover over their 2-year-olds when they're learning how to walk, or like everywhere they go, they're helicopter parenting. And I would be.
So the 2-year-old, you're just telling them fall. Interesting. You still have a 2-year-old. So imagine, so this is how you're treating this kid? I mean, how is social services not being called on you? If you're admitting on camera on a podcast that you let your 2-year-old fall, and you tell people, your friends that say, no, let them fall. Let him fall. He'll learn. So your 2-year-old is getting taught how to walk by falling. Got it. Got it. Got it.
10 and 2, and we walk around naked. If they have a question about sex, I'm very open. If they want to take a risk, I'm like, yeah, go for it. You know, like I would watch my friends like hover over their 2-year-olds when they're learning how to walk, or like everywhere they go, they're helicopter parenting. And I would be sitting there being like, no, they need to fall. They need to experience that so they know. So
you're helicopter parenting your kids when you're asking them about sex, when you're asking them about what in the literal hell they're doing with their sex life, when you're saying that sex is such an important subject for your 13, 7, 10, and 2-year-old household, Rebecca. This is what you want to be remembered for. Your words. Your literal words. In what world did any OSA agent let you put this literal interview out? I mean, they just have no shame. I mean, she asked you earlier, how do you feel about shame? You have none is the problem. You have none.
So I've always tried to be the kind of parent that's relaxed and like, do the rules matter? Like, I don't know, all these things that we're told, is that really the right way? No one really knows. And so
Do rules really matter, Rebecca? Does the ethics book apply? Does any of that apply? I mean, that's what you've been told, but nobody really knows. But what about the L. Ron Hubbard shit? You can say that inside a Scientology hotel. You can say, well, nobody really knows inside of a Scientology hotel. So once again, you here coming, pretending you're some cockamamie regular mom. Nobody knows. Are the rules really important? Well, the rule about, maybe have some common sense and discernment. So you're 13, you're 7, you're 10, and you're 2-year-old is not just exposed to your unconventional level of parenting. You just literally told on yourself, Rebecca. Uninvited, unpushed. You can't even blame this lady. Cannot even blame the lady. She asked you, what do you want to be remembered for as a mother? And this is the shit that came out of your mouth.
I hope that they see that relaxed sort of casualness that
too casual, too relaxed, some would say. Some would say that. Some could really say that, in the context of what you just told on yourself about. Some would say that you're way too relaxed, way too casual. Just way, like literally SOS. SOS.
I've tried to raise them with.
I'm curious, is there something that you noticed within yourself raising number 1 versus raising number 4? And that you would say to your younger self when you had your first child?
Yeah, number 1 was incredibly easy. And because it was my first time, things were hard. But looking back, he was the easiest baby. We took him everywhere. All of our friends fell in love with him. We were the only guys, parents with kids at the time. So he was just hanging out with adults all the time. We partied with him. Like, he was just our plus one.
Good to know. Partying. You partied with him. He was your plus one. Why is she saying these things, you guys? Why is she offering Glutz PR on herself? Why does she have no self-awareness? Why does she say that she's partying with her plus one child?
But there were things that I look back, I'm like, why did I think that was hard? Why was that a struggle? Like, I remember my husband went out of town for a week, and I remember every morning I'd be like, oh God, this is really hard to be alone with him until the nanny comes. And now I'm just like, I'm alone this morning, making 4 lunches, taking 4 kids to school. Like, it's no brainer, So I think it's a first time parent thing. But I think I've just learned to relax.
No brainer. No brainer is what all of your parenting skills probably can be summed up as. No brains around. Like, the brains are missing. We're lacking brains. Lacking brains.
Into a lot of things. Like, I remember a stewardess touched my son once, my first, and I was like, oh, she's on a dirty airplane touching my precious son's fingers. And with my second, I was like, can you hold the baby while I go pee?
It's like you put in the reps and you're gaining those muscles and you're like, okay. And then you can you have the capacity to handle more.
Yeah.
Well, you heard it there, you guys. You heard it there. From the lack of common sense boundaries of Scientology parents that, according to Rebecca, yes, 13, 7, 10, and 2 are exposed to, including but not limited to, her and her husband walking around naked all over the place, literally answering every sexual question they have because they really want to be open to whatever second 10, 7, or 13-year-old wants to really ask about sex. I mean, again, Rebecca, couldn't be more of a failure. There's no discernment. You have no compass because you literally are acting so unhinged behind closed doors. And, like L. Ron Hubbard said, the criminal always leaves clues so they get caught. Well, you're leaving all the clues on a podcast that has 10 views and 0 likes. You went out of your way because, again, you were trying to control the SEO with the courage to take risk. Well, you know what? Actually, never mind, Rebecca. Like, you're really good at taking risks, actually. You risk telling the entire world on a video the type of household you're running. And don't come to us about this being a leaky pigeon bullshit room. You're saying it live. Live.
Yeah,
That's the
sure.
beauty of women. What do you want women, like if you had to leave a legacy for women in general, what do you wish that could be?
I think it's multifaceted. Obviously, with my brand, I want a woman to feel empowered and confident by what they're wearing. But I think
it's so vapid, Rebecca. I want women to feel empowered by what they're wearing. As if a piece of rag coming out of your China production warehouse is really what women need and really want. As if.
it goes deeper than that, right? We got to also like make sure that if it's a woman who has goals, they feel supported and know how to achieve it. It's why I co-founded the Female Founder Collective. So
the Female Founder Collective is her recruiting, breathing grounds, you guys. Again, she's shouting it out. She's trying to get female entrepreneurs to go, oh, well, maybe Rebecca can hook us up. Maybe Rebecca can get us some money for our funding. And just with that BS pitch, they bring in people and they start going, you go to the cult. Oh, you don't qualify. Oh, you don't ask questions? You qualify. Oh, you ask too many questions? Just go over there. Oh, you agree with everything we say? You qualify. Oh, you don't agree with what we say? Oh, you go find someone else. So the Female Founder Collective. Got it. So write that on your notes, you guys, because Rebecca is on a roll to recruit as many female founders as she can get her literal fingers to turn over to Scientology on her amends project to recover her position in her cult, as she has literally fallen all the way to the bottom of the barrel.
you can get the education you need to succeed as a woman in business. You can get the community. You can get the mentorship that's needed because it's fucking hard.
Oh, she's going to give you mentorship and it's fucking hard. You know what is fucking hard, Rebecca, for women to think that they're really going to have a friend in you when what you represent is something that, you know what, we would say that people would run for the hills. That's what's giving more than, oh yeah, I really want to go and get some real help from you. Like, it's giving you're trying to help yourself. It's giving you're trying to put yourself in that position to see who you can FSM for 10% to send them to your cult, and who you can, use to leverage, use to report that you're so successful and shouldn't really people be paying attention to you. Maybe not.
And I think to me, it's about how do you address the whole of a woman? It's why I have my podcast so that you can listen to women like yourself, giving incredibly, vulnerable and fearless stories. So I think
nobody wants to listen to your podcast.
It's just like, wow, she empowered women from the inside out. I hate the word empower because it sort of denotes that I'm giving you power. But
breaking news, you guys. Humble Rebecca hates the word empower. Not great. That little humble Becky from the flea market, earlier beginnings of her lifetime where she sold not a thing, hates the word empower, because why say empower as if I'm giving you the power? Like, you're not giving them the power. You're taking power. You're seeing what's in it for you. You're not going to help any woman that needs help. You're seeing which one of them can help you, Becky. That's how you work. You and your cult work inverted. It's called inverted pyramid scheme. Call out all these people. Come here for the Female Founder Collective and let's put you in a funnel where, a lot of them here, this one's didn't make it, this one's didn't make it, all the way down. It's giving Squid Games.
I guess what I mean, because there isn't a better word these days, is, she inspired us from the inside out.
Yeah. I love how you rephrase that. I always like when I'm talking to people and like, this word triggers me, or this word, I always say, or this phrase, I can do hard things. I'm like, in my mind, I had to tell myself, I can do things. Nothing is hard. It's just emotionally uncomfortable. Sending that email is not difficult. Saying yes to a project is not.
Yeah, this girl loves reframing things. Where they love to reframe things? At Rebecca's cult. They keep always reframing everything.
Wait to buy it. There's an added chapter, a revised intro, and if you download the...
So there it is, you guys. There you have it. There she's pitching her, book Fearless, and really how to be fearless, and apparently with no conscience. Because today we have seen Rebecca admit what's going on in her household with her kids, admit how she wants to be remembered as a mom. And it's disgusting. It's disgusting. It's uncalled for. It needs to literally be questioned. We do get to question the public record. We do get to question the fact that you're a public figure, Rebecca, and that you're doing crisis management interviews, admitting and glutz PRing, and literally telling on yourself. Again, you guys, it's more important that you guys understand the danger, the clear and present danger that these adults really do present themselves to be. The danger and the delusion is alive and well. So now we have caught Rebecca literally in the act. Literally in the act. I mean, digest that and refer to it, and let's get more people to start understanding what the situation is, because kids cannot consent. Kids cannot be exposed to Scientology audits. Kids cannot be exposed to disgusting grooming courses. Kids cannot be told that there are ethics and that there's an ethics technology that really needs to be applied to them. Those three things are completely disgusting, indefensible, and wrong. There's no defense for them. There's no case anyone can make that a child can be exposed to that unless they're a full-blown degenerate themselves. And you know what? We don't have to convince the degenerates that they're being degenerates. Not our job, not our problem. Our job is to continue to blow the whistle, continue to raise awareness, continue to stop allowing everyone to be glib as fuck about the facts, so that nothing ever gets done, so that the LAPD continues to be showing up, swatting the people that protest said abuse, the people that show up and say, no more kids in Scientology, kids are being child trafficked. Those are the ones that really the LAPD goes, you know what we really need to do? Arrest that. They're getting the word out. They're saying the words out loud on the streets. And they're using people like Rebecca Minkoff coming out here and pretending, I'm just a mom like everyone else. Bullshit, Rebecca Minkoff. You're not a mom like anyone else. You belong to a cult. You're a paid member of it. You have a membership to it. You and your family have donated millions and millions and millions of dollars that have helped Scientology normalize itself, purport that everything's above water, when you and everyone in your goddamn family knows that nothing in Scientology is above water. Nothing. That everything is disgusting, that everything is indefensible, that you all are up to your neck and ears in knowing. Exactly. One love. It's just not, they're not being mothers. They're being cult Stepford wives from hell. And again, it's like, you don't wish that on your worst enemy, much less on indefenseless kids that are dependent on their parents to live their life, dependent on the wrong choices that Scientology parents are all making for themselves. This is an emergency. This is an epidemic. This is a pandemic. Everyone in there that is regurgitating the rhetoric of the convicted felon is crossing boundaries, is crossing lines. We've shown you all the receipts. We've shown you all the video evidence. We've shown you the multiple corroborating angles. So what in the literal hell is anyone at the LAPD looking for, waiting for, or, playing dumb about? Exactly, Joby. I mean, even with Jet Travolta, with the autistic kids, I mean, the autistic kids in Scientology, we can't even get to that in this live, you guys. I mean, this has already been so much, to be honest, but I appreciate all of you that are here. I appreciate everyone for liking and subscribing and leaving your comments and helping the algorithm that is dead set in suppressing our message and our advocacy for kids to be told that we need more than 20 people showing up for lives where we're discussing what's going on in the kids. In the activism of Scientology, it's giving people are tuning in for all the wrong reasons. It's giving everyone's tuning in for reality TV, which this channel is not reality TV, even though now we're covering reality TV because thanks to Rebecca, she put herself on reality TV. So that's a full back circle moment. And we do thank Rebecca for making that mistake, for not doing her due diligence and putting herself at the forefront of what a Scientology mom does, believe, and do. Because this clip needs to be sent to, all the Real Housewives and be like, oh, look, clock the tea of your literal castmate that has 4 kids that's, giving them a Scientology childhood. Because you know what? It's not just kids, Rebecca, that was exposed to this level of disgusting, no boundary situation between grown adults and kids. It's called grooming. That's why adults would have no boundaries with kids, because then the kids, how are the kids supposed to know if something is not supposed to be happening if the adults are all acting like it's all normal? Literally. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you all soon. Bye-bye.